Hello, hello, everyone. It's Dr. Tamara Beckford, and I am the host of the EBS show. That's right. EBS, what's that? That's the EntreMD Business School, which is the premier business school for physician entrepreneurs, right? So today I'm going to introduce you to one of our business school extraordinaire. She's just really doing it big. Her name is Dr. Karen Kaufman, but let me bring her in the style, right? So Dr. Karen Kaufman is the founder and CEO of Kaufman Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology in Vienna, Virginia. Dr. Kaufman, welcome.
This is such a good introduction. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I know, Dr. Kaufman, she's really doing it up, right? Right now, she's at the game with her kids are out there playing. Which sport? Is it baseball? Baseball. But she's decided to take the time out to let you guys know how her life has changed since being in the business school. So I have a quick question. You are the founder CEO of Kaufman Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology. Where was Kaufman Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology before you joined the EntreMD Business School?
Before I joined the EntreMD Business School, Kaufman Allergy was a little flicker of excitement in the back of my mind. Wow. And when I joined the EntreMD Business School, I actually was an employed physician in another practice. Mm-hmm. And I knew that wasn't the end all for me. I knew that my, goal was to leave employed practice and to have an entrepreneurial journey to open my own practice. So I joined EntreMD Business School in September of 2020, mm-hmm. and we opened our doors in January of 2021. So right in the midst of the pandemic. So I was a few months ahead still.
Wow. Okay. September, which would be considered that last quarter of the year. And yep. You opened your doors. Did you open it as I put up my shingles, now I'm going to sit and twiddle my thumbs and wait for the patients to come on in. Let's see if anybody would sign up. Let them know how it happened.
So that's exactly what I didn't want to happen, and that I was really, I had concern about, of course. So, the thought going way back is, if you hang your shingle, that patients will just come in. And the reality is that that's not true. Mm-hmm. So when I joined the EntreMD Business School, one of the first concepts that I learned, was how to effectively market yourself. And that in doing so, you could really kind of put a draw for patients to find you before we even opened our doors. So mm-hmm. As I started to really learn how to effectively market myself and my practice, I ended up putting together a wait list of patients to be able to register and schedule, to have their appointments made mm-hmm. before the practice even opened. And with the tools that I learned through the EntreMD Business School, we were able to grow that list to 350 patients. Okay. Of which 270 were scheduled before we even opened. Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, wow.
So we opened to a full schedule. Mm-hmm.
Wow, opened to a full schedule. So yeah. We're in the middle of a pandemic. You are at your job. You have this flicker of a thought. Maybe I want to be, self-employed. Maybe I'd like to open up my own practice, but I'm not really sure how to go about it. I know it's going to be hard work, but if I can get some guidance, right, then maybe sure. I can do this. So what is it that you can say has happened to you since you joined the business school?
The business school provides a lot of tools and a lot of knowledge base that I really didn't have as an employed physician. Prior to that, I was a military physician, and nobody teaches you the skills that are required to be a business owner or to be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And so, I really went into the business school very open-minded And, when I would learn these kind of, nuggets of information of, this is how to market yourself, and these are, the skills that you need, and this is how to obtain all of that stuff. Whatever it was, whatever the challenge was to us as students in the business, this is what I signed up to learn. So if I need to learn this, then I'm going to learn this. So, it really was a lot of, identifying, what are the skills that you need, and then whether it was comfortable or uncomfortable to kind of do those things, that's effectively marketing your practice. And when your practice, relies upon patients coming in to see you and knowing that they're not going to just find you themselves, I recognize that these were just the behaviors that I had to obtain in order to make it work, and that my future practice depended upon it. And so, I think a big part of being in the business school is just saying yes, saying yes to new challenges, saying yes to things that make you uncomfortable. But that putting yourself out there in the way that has been proven, to be effective, year after year with other individuals, like, just do that, rinse and repeat. There's no point in reinventing, something that clearly is effective. So it was a great learning experience.
So how would
and
you
I think
you've changed?
Go ahead.
Yeah. How have you changed since you entered the business school? Who is the Karen Kaufman before EntreMD, and who is this Karen Kaufman who is here now? What are others around you saying about you?
I think the Karen Kaufman before was, somebody with a lot of hope, but a lot of uncertainty and a lot of question mark of, how do you get from A to B? How do you accomplish those things and get there? And I would say that the person who I am now, we've been open for almost 10 months. I'm not doing a whole lot different than I was doing at the beginning, aside from continuing to show up, continuing to say yes, continuing to do the behaviors that I know are going to, be the best way to not only bring patients into the practice, but to show the patients, why they want to be a part of my practice. So to really, define myself, to put that out there, to say, this is who I help and how I do it. And that's very appealing to people. I think as there sort of has become a trend, I think, toward physicians adopting more of a direct model where, there's a lot of, difficulty in dealing with insurance companies and things like that. And I think that a lot of physicians that provide this direct model of care try to really, they really do an outstanding job of going above and beyond what patients may be able to access otherwise. And as an allergist immunologist, one of, the mainstays of my practice really involves, something that's very well covered by insurance. So I have a very traditional insurance model, but I really try to go, above and beyond and exceed the patient's expectations so that I really truly provide for them what would be expected more of in a direct model. So, I think that patients, as they get to know me and they get to, see what my practice is all about, I think that becomes a very appealing way to obtain, the highest level of care for what their needs are, and to really, exceed their expectations in how I provide medical care to them and their families. So it's great.
What are your family saying about you? Because I know that they're like, who is this person who was uncertain, knew that there was an A to B pathway, but wasn't confident enough to know that she can really go out and do it. And then, we're 10 months in. I think within 6 months of you opening, you had over 1,000 patients on your registry. Over 1,000. You started off before the paint dried in your practice. You had 300 patients. The paint hadn't dried yet. This beautiful, soft green, just really aromatic, and this beautiful entranceway. The paint hadn't dried yet. 300 patients. And then in almost like 3 to 6 months, you're over 1,000 patients. I know that someone who's looking at, it's like, is this the same Karen Kaufman that I knew? Like, what are they saying?
Sure. Well, I definitely have a kind of a specific style of the way that I like to talk about how I provide medical care and the way that I like to practice. And I consistently put that out there.
Okay, so Dr. Kaufman, I know your friends, your family, they're all looking and they're like, well, who is this Karen Kaufman? Like, before the business school and who you are now, you are like in command. You have this practice that is thriving, and you were doing this when the pandemic, like in the height of the pandemic. They're like, who are you? Like, what are they saying about you?
Well, I think it's funny because I think, from being somebody who was, really uncertain and just feeling like I needed to figure it out, they look at me as somebody who's figured it out. They say, I don't know what it is that you figured out how to do, but you're doing it. You're doing it. And, my patients are thrilled. The community is happy to have, me to serve them. And it's just the biggest gift to be able to, effectively serve the community where I live, where I'm raising my children, and to be able to give back locally. And it is awesome. I mean, and I feel like I'm still learning, of course, every week, every day, moving forward, there's always new things to learn and new things to do. But I don't feel afraid of that challenge. I definitely feel confident to take it on head on. And to allow my practice to grow. It's really a gift.
Wonderful. 10 months in.
Yeah.
Flicker of a thought. September of 2020. We are in, and then you started in January.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just going to do it. 2021. I'm just going to do it. Like in less
and you know what?
And people are now looking at you like, oh, she's the one that's figured it out. I'm pretty sure others, you know what? Oh, if you want, go talk to Dr. Kaufman. You're now within like a short period of time. It's as if like you're an expert on this. I know you're looking like, who am I? Yes.
Right.
You're an expert at this point in 10 months. Go ahead.
Well, I start this kind of thing, you have to recognize that you're going to start it messy, right? Like you just need to jump in and do it and not sit around and think about it and waste time. You just need to implement. And so it wasn't always, easy. I wasn't always staffed for it appropriately. Like, my family is scheduled just as many patients, it feels like, as, my actual staff, because at the beginning, it was me that was doing it, or, it was my parents were helping me out to get these patients registered and scheduled. And, you kind of have to just get in there and wear all the hats sometimes. And, at the beginning, it was commonplace for me to be sitting at the front desk or answering the phones or, doing all the things. But, as you grow, mentally and emotionally, your capability grows, your practice grows, and all of that stuff kind of starts to filter out. So, so it's been, it's a good experience to know that you're not going to just start and things aren't going to go perfectly. And, troubleshooting becomes your middle name, and that's okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
Dr. Karen Troubleshooting Kaufman. Getting it
felt
done.
like that for many days.
So what would you say now, like, what have you felt being part of the EntreMD Business School? Like, how would you say has changed how you feel about yourself?
I feel very part of a team and part of a group. I feel very, very much less alone as I felt beforehand. And, I'm coming from a background of a employed position in a practice where people didn't even say hi or good morning, and I felt very isolated, and I wasn't really in tune with, all the, physicians who are out there in the world in, podcast space and in blog space and all of this stuff. I really just felt very isolated. And in the EntreMD Business School, I feel like a cherished member of a team, and I learned just as much from other, other individuals in the group in the business school as I do from Dr. Una, who leads us. And it's such a good collective where we celebrate each, and every Wednesday when we get to an hour and a half, it feels like you're getting together with it feels like a safe and sacred space where you can really share and be vulnerable and learn from all of the other physicians in that group. So it's a wonderful experience. I think you'll probably get a similar answer from other colleagues of mine in the group, and I'm sure you feel this warm, safe space where we can all kind of grow together in directions, even if other people may not be in private practice like I am, but we can kind of take the same lessons and the same concepts and kind of roll with it. So it's very cool. It's a very good place to be.
So I know that there are some people out there and they're like, wow, oh, wow, she did that. And in that period of time, she made the decision, and then in 3 months, she just went ahead and did it. And even though she did it messy, she still did it. Wow, this might be for her, but I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence if I want to join this business school. I'm not really sure this is what I want to do. What would you say to that individual?
If you are a physician and you have any idea of entrepreneurship, the EntreMD Business School is absolutely for you. And it's interesting. So I will tell you, I'm starting to, even now less than a year in, look, and in speaking with another physician locally, who's a very cherished and well-respected physician for 14, and her practice got bought out by somebody else and she found herself unemployed. The only sure way to make the future, the way to do this. So if you're a physician and you have any, glimmer of entrepreneurship in your future, the EntreMD Business School is definitely for you. And in my experience in talking to other physicians who have been with, their practices as employed physicians for many years, to find themselves without a job when their practices get bought out, the only sure way to find a successful career is through entrepreneurship. And so the EntreMD Business School is absolutely the way to learn that if you're a physician.
Wow. Hey, you heard it here from someone who went from glimmer of a thought, and then in 3 months, went from being unsure, being the person who was considered, she's a little bit unsure if this is what she wants to do. No, she wants to go from point A to point B, but wasn't really sure of the pathway. Joined the business school, opened up, had people on her waiting list. In less than 6 months, had 1,000 patients registered. Now, less than a year, we're 10 months in, and she's thinking of having another person join as or employing another physician as a part of the group. And this is because she is providing such excellent care to her patients. She's feel confident. She has a game plan. In the beginning, she calls herself, that's your middle name, transition, and, and you're doing everything, and, you're troubleshooting, actually, that's your middle name, the other T, troubleshooting. You're troubleshooting.
Transition's my other name.
well, such a big transformation has occurred, right? And you're troubleshooting at the beginning, but you're putting together systems, right? So you're learning how to get systems in place to the point that you're saying, I've had these systems in place and I have so many patients that I need and want care. So I think it's time for me to bring someone else on in less than 1 year. Now, can you safely say all of this would have happened had you not joined the business school?
Not a chance. I wouldn't know how to do it. I really wouldn't. I would be, probably still hanging that shingle and waiting for people to show up.
Mm-hmm. And then the great thing too, you made a great point, is that you have a community where you feel safe, vulnerable, and you're learning from each other, right? And it's a safe space. So even though you're meeting once a week, you don't mind, because at the end, it's as if like this is your safe space to meet and to pour everything out and to get reinvigorated to get it done for the next week. And look at all those leaps and bounds that you've done. I'm so very proud of you, Dr. Kaufman.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's like you can't learn it all at the beginning and then just expect it to continue. Like it's that constant, evolution of yourself as a learner, to be able to continue to implement in a way that makes sense for your business. So I'm so grateful. It's such a gift to be a part of this business school.
Absolutely. Right. So I recommend, and I'm pretty sure you would also recommend, that they gift themselves the chance, right? Invest in yourself, give yourself that gift to join the business school so that you can be able to live life on your own terms, right?
Absolutely.
All righty. Thank you so much, Dr. Kaufman, for spending this time with us. And I hope that your son wins his game. Mom is going to go back out there and start rooting and cheering, as we are here cheering you on from the EntreMD Business School. Thank you all for watching and listening. I'm Dr. Beckford. I am the host of the EBS show, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.